Okay, so should we get into the questions? I will start reading the ones from Discord first. If you guys have any more, feel free to ask them in chat, and I will answer them once I'm finished with the Discord ones. When I was filming this before, Sizor turned up and he just wouldn't leave. Like, he was just staring at me the whole time. He just stood, like, you know where Whooper's standing right now? Well, while standing, he just stood there and stared at me. It was really scary. I couldn't concentrate on my questions because he was staring at me. The first question is from... Sorry, I keep getting distracted because I'm blocking... Every time Clodsire does anything, I'm blocking him out, and I love him. I'm just going to keep moving around the screen when Clodsire moves. I will actually get to the questions now. So the first two are from Warlock, our very own Warlock. And I think a lot of these questions started off, or at least some of them were geared towards content creation like YouTube or Twitch. So they might not make sense in context if I don't give that context. So the first one is, what do you think you value more, consistency or quality? So for me, I think at my stage in like my content creation journey, I think consistency, or like not necessarily quality over quantity over quality, but at least in general, consistency is important, because I think YouTube needs to understand what your content is and what your audience is. And the less stuff you put out there, the less aware it is. And also, I feel like at the start of a YouTube channel, you're very much just like throwing darts at a wall to see what sticks. Like, see what gets shown to people, what people enjoy. And you're getting all the watch hours up and stuff. I think once you get an established audience, or you feel like comfortable, you can start making like more detailed edits, detailed videos that have like a longer gap between posting. And I also think, especially early on, you don't have all the skills, and I think the only way to get skills is to make stuff, keep making stuff, and see what works and what doesn't. Because if you spend all your time making one thing, you don't get the feedback from what as much. Whereas if you're uploading a lot, you get feedback on each video, and each video you can like improve a little bit, and so over time you're improving a lot more than if you just did one video and got feedback from that and then took another few months to make another one. The next one is also from Warlock, is what kind of recommendations or suggestions would be open when it comes to content, and are there genres you would limit yourself to or from? I think I have said this plenty of times that I'm not a huge fan of platformers. I'm also not a huge fan of shooting games, but I am willing to like maybe shift that bias a little bit depending on the game. Or also, I might, in the future, I'm thinking for my birthday, I'm maybe having like a subathon, but like a thing where like if once you reach certain milestones, I'll do something. And one of those things that I'm thinking of putting on there is like playing a particular platformer, because then it's a bit of a punishment for me because I hate platformers. But you guys can watch me stress out in real time. So honestly, any suggestions that you have, I will take them into like consideration. Sometimes I just might be like, I'm not interested in that, but just games as a genre to be... No, I mean, if whatever you have suggestions, I'd love to hear them. And then the worst thing I can say is no, right? I'm never going to be like, how dare you suggest that? I'm just going to be like, I don't think I want to do that. The next question is from Blah. What's your favourite season and why is it summer? Oh, it's definitely not summer. I think I prefer summer to winter because I have seasonal depression. The winter sucks. The summer is too hot. I love the long days of summer, but I hate the heat. I hate it so much. It stops me from doing stuff all the time. So I think it would be a toss-up between autumn and spring, and I like the aesthetics of autumn more. I love like the fallen leaves. I love a good pumpkin. Looks-wise, I don't want to eat them. I think it's just a little bit cozier. I think if I ranked it, it'd be autumn, spring, summer, winter. But let me know if that's a hot take. Or a old take, I guess, because I ranked summer so low. The next question was from Editor, and it said, have you got a childhood game that means a whole lot to you? I'm trying to think what I would like if I could single out a single game. I think the thing that first ever got me into Nintendo was actually Nintendogs, the game. I wasn't really interested in console gaming until they announced Nintendogs coming with DS when it like launched. And I was like, oh my god, I want a dog. I've never been able to have a dog. My parents worked full time and we lived in rented accommodation, so I couldn't have a dog in real life. So when it came out, I was like, the only thing I want for Christmas is a DS to play Nintendo. And I think because that, oh my god, because that opened my eyes to Nintendo, to like things that I wouldn't have tried otherwise, I think that deserves an honorable mention. I would say that I probably, Animal Crossing Wild World was the game on the DS that like shaped me the most. It was nice to have, this sounds really sad, it was nice to have like friends whenever I wanted. Like, especially as like an introvert, it was nice to be like, oh, I want friends on my term, I can talk to them on my term. And they're always there as well, like in the middle of the night if you're feeling sad. Your little villager neighbours are there. And I actually remember it's like it's a good memory of like pre-internet times. Like obviously the internet was a thing, but I didn't know that you could like look up games on the internet. So I remember every weekend when KK Slider had his concert, he asked you for like a name of a song, and what he's asking you for is like one of his songs. So like KK Samba or KK Pop or whatever. I didn't know that. I thought he just wanted me to recommend a real life song. And so every weekend I was like, okay, I'll name a really famous song. And then he'd be like, oh, I don't have that one. And I like made it my lifelong mission to be like, finally I'm going to guess one of these songs that he actually has. So I went through like famous songs. I went through like, I'm pretty sure I asked him for Baby One More Time from Britney Spears once. And then yeah, I didn't know what you were actually meant to do until I was much later in life and New Leaf was out and people were talking about it. And I was like, oh, that's what you were meant to do. I thought I was just guessing all the wrong songs. Some other games that I think of are obviously Oblivion and also Icewind Dale 2. And I say that because in that game you could make like a whole 6 characters yourself. And I used to like be obsessed with making new parties and giving them all individually backstories and then making a new party like the next day. It was literally just me making like creative writing in a video game. I didn't actually want to play the game. So yeah, I think that's something that like stands out quite unique to me that I did. My parents were both PC gamers, so I had access to things like Baldur's Gate and Icewind Dale, which is not something you typically associate with kids. Bagel, this is a question from you. Do you have any underrated games you'd like to recommend or play on stream? Underrated. Like me forgetting every game I've ever played. One of my favorite games that I don't really recommend people playing now is The Secret World. They like re-released it as Secret World Legends, which is like a pay-to-win sort of MMO. But The Secret World, it was an MMO, and I loved it not for like the MMO side that much, more for like the stories. They very much like appealed to my like interest in stories. It's like paranormal, cultish, esoteric stuff set in like real world setting. And they used to have these missions called investigation missions where you would have to like do research outside the game. Like your character would be like asked these things and then you'd have to like go and Google and try and find out real life history things and make these connections to get the answers in game and then go to that place in game. And then the next clue would be there. It was really, really cool. They re-released it and not all of the content from the original game was re-released and they added new content which I haven't played. But just for the story experience alone, I would say play it. I wouldn't say play it as an MMO anymore. But I did have a lot of fun like doing the original dungeons on the original version of the game. Those were fun. I've never played a game that's captured the same vibes before. And yeah, it's free to play now, so if you could check it out just to play the quests and stuff. The vibes are immaculate. That's what I would say. I think they did a RPG setting book around it, which I'd be vaguely interested in, but I don't know if it was just like a cash grab and if it's actually any good. This artist asked, what motivated you to become a YouTuber when you started your channel? So this is like kind of 2 questions because technically I started my YouTube channel like 9 years ago. I uploaded for like a month and then I stopped until like March this year, April this year? March, April this year. Originally it was just like, I consumed lots of YouTube and I have done since I was a teenager. And so I just wanted to like make my own stuff, but back then I was in like a really bad mental health place, so I just sort of like I did it and then I stopped because I didn't get views or comments and I was like, oh well, no one watches it, it must suck, why am I bothering putting myself out there? It was very easy to get into that loop and I just sort of gave up after like a month, which is not a very long time. And then this year I talked about it a bit in the a couple of my videos, but one of like the main motivating factors for me was that like I'd been on like a work program earlier this year that was like about getting autistic adults into work and finding the right work for you. And one of the things that I'd like identified, was that I don't think I am ever going to be like happy or healthy in a traditional job working for someone else. Like I've had like repeated patterns of starting jobs, starting volunteering and then stopping because of interpersonal issues, because the pressure that comes from working for other people, because I just don't fit well with like hours. Like the hours I want to work are so random, and you can't just be like, I'm not coming into work today because I have a bad mental health day like 3 days a week. So I wanted to find something that I could do where I work for myself. I'm not a businessy kind of person. I don't really like the idea of running a business, but I wanted to do something creative, and I like writing, I like games, I love YouTube, as we've already mentioned. So I was like, what if I combine those into making videos that are partly gaming and then partly talking and just in general like leaning into a creative side, and if that takes off, maybe it can one day be something that financially supports myself. So that was like the main motivator originally, was like finally wanting to have something I made and also that financial stability that I'm never going to have if I can't book a real job. And obviously that's a far off dream right now. Like I'm not monetizing YouTube yet, and even then it's like ad revenue doesn't cover that much it probably won't be very realistic for a while, but I'm living with my parents, so luckily I have that like stage at the moment where I can do something that's not very reliable. No, and along the way I've just discovered this amazing community, and now I'm sort of doing it for that as well. Like, I love hanging out with you guys, and I like to think that I've had lots of lovely comments about people saying that they enjoy my content, or like the things that I've said have resonated with them, and that's like a massive driver for me, is like reaching out to those people. Yeah, Azu, it's difficult, not just if you have interpersonal issues, but also if you're unstable as a person, health-wise and stuff, you feel like you're constantly letting them down, and sometimes you are constantly letting them down because you can't control that. And that's not really something you can just do in a normal job. You can't just be like, I'm sorry, I'm not going to be doing these things. And also I have the ability to work super hard, hyperfixate on something and get something done in a day as well. So it's not like I can never do stuff, it's just I'm not consistent with my working patterns. There's so much advice out there that says like, oh, you shouldn't go into it if you want the money. And I feel like, I guess that's probably aimed at people who want to like exploit their viewers for like courses and digital products and make low effort content. I feel like there's such a taboo about talking about money on YouTube and Twitch. My first like ever proper job was when I was 18. It's like a retail job, and I just worked that and worked that and worked that until I realised I was getting sick before I went to work, but I still kept going, and then I ended up in a mental hospital. I've learnt from that there needs to be a little bit of a pause before it gets to that point. I watched a video that was talking about like the amount of sponsored content as well in like the cozy game sphere, and that sort of like made me question the future. Like, if I get offered sponsorships, should I take them? That's good money, but would I ever want to like I was deceiving my audience? And a lot of them have clauses where you can't actually negatively review them if you get sponsored. So I don't know. It's something to think about for the future. I don't think it'll be anytime soon. Yeah, Eddie. It's hard when you say that, because a lot of times when you say that, people just judge you and think you're lazy, which is not the case. Honestly, I would love to be able to work a job where I just go in, turn my mind off, from home and relax. I can't do that. I really want to get sponsored by Manta Sleep, because I actually want to try their products. I really want to try the little thing that goes over your eyes and plays music at night. I'm like, oh my god, one day they'll ask me and I'll actually get to try their products. Next question was from Alien for Sale. What kind of content creators do you like to watch yourself? What content do I like to watch? Mostly gaming content. I watch basically every Stardew Valley creator like that makes like a challenge video. I've probably watched it at some point. Some of my favourite channels are, they're like quite big channels, but they might be a bit obscure, because I like, they're in that range where it's like a big channel but in a niche. I really like a YouTuber called Gopher, who does Let's Plays. I first found him when I was a teenager. He does Let's Plays through his Let's Plays of like Skyrim and Elder Scrolls games. I've probably rewatched his Skyrim Let's Plays multiple times. It's like my comfort thing to watch. And I would really love to do my own roleplay Skyrim series. I'm just a bit worried that I will like, people will watch it and think I'm cringe, which is a silly thing to think, because he's a huge channel and everyone loves him and I love him. But for some reason when I do it, it sounds cringe. Another creator whose humour I really like, but I only really like their second channel because their main channel is all RimWorld. I don't play RimWorld, but their name's Mr. Samuel Streamer. They used to be known as Raw 1D2 Games. They have a second channel where they play things like Elder Scrolls games. They've played Stardew, and I just really like his sense of humour. I just don't care about RimWorld. Wish I did play Skyrim recently. But I would like to play it on stream, but I would also really love to do this roleplay series on YouTube. That's something I want to do, if I can be brave enough to do it. Who else do I watch? I really like Hidden Rabbits. That's a podcasty video essay style thing run by a couple. I think I've posted one of their videos in my Discord before. I really like their takes on things. They're very like from both sides, but like I usually agree with their takes, which is nice. It's usually when I watch stuff about controversies, I'm always like, okay, but I don't really agree with you. So it's very rare to find someone that I agree with, because they have nuanced takes. They don't have all or nothing takes, which I think a lot of content creators have, where it's like you take one side of the argument completely or the other side of the argument completely. I like it when it's like people who are like, life is a grey area. Yeah, I like their content. I'm trying to think, who else do I watch a lot of? I don't know if any of you guys like crochet, but I watch Complicated Knots. She does Pokemon crochet, and she has series where she plays Pokemon. They randomly evolve, and then when they evolve, she has to crochet them. She is like the reason I want to get into crochet. Yeah, she's great. I'd recommend her. And she does all her patterns like completely freestyle. She just makes them up as she goes and then posts them for you guys to make as well. Oh my god, Ghastly. Ghastly, please. Ghastly. I'll just wait for Ghastly to get on my face. Okay. And then I think there's also a question further down from Kitta, which is creators that I'm inspired by. Let me say who I'd say I was inspired by. The thing is, a lot of creators I'm inspired by do content that I would never do because I just don't have the patience for like super edited content. Like, if you guys have ever seen Argon Matrix's fishing video where it's like catch all the fish in Stardew in one day, I feel like that's like a cinematic masterpiece for a YouTube video. I love that, but I would never do it myself. That amount of editing would just kill me, I think. Yeah, I do love like a really deeply researched, deeply edited video, but I do the research side, I don't think I could do the editing side. So those are the content creators. Oh, I also love RT Game. You guys probably know him at least. Yeah, she's really good. She's really funny as well. She does like crochet other stuff, not just Pokemon. I love watching like her play the Pokemon and then being like, okay, I need to pause now. I need to go crochet Flygon or whatever it just evolved into, because it's like a random evolution. Yeah, I'm always up for like recommendations. I like to check out new things. I say that and then I probably will decide to rewatch a Let's Play I've watched like 50 times. But that's usually because I'm doing that in the background or when I fall asleep. I don't want to fall asleep when I'm watching something for real. So next question was, do you have any favourite anime or movies? I'm one of those people that I'm really bad at naming favourites of things. I really like the Ghibli films, as you can probably tell from this. I haven't watched them all, so one of my goals for the year is to like watch all the ones that I haven't seen yet. But I don't often come away from them being like, I want to watch this again. Like, I'm like, that was really good. I really enjoyed that. Okay, next. And I've never been not into anime, but like I didn't know what anime was until I went to university. Someone, my friend who I'm still friends with now, was like, oh, I'm really into anime. I was like, I don't know what that is. And then I'd like missed a lot of like the formative anime years. Everyone sort of either didn't know about anime or knew everything about anime. So I found it really hard to get good recommendations. And I got really overwhelmed by it, so I haven't watched much anime. So it feels like everyone either knows it all or doesn't, or refuses to watch it. House Moving Castle is great. I think my favourite is either Spirited Away or Whisper of the Heart out of the ones I've watched so far. Old viruses and worms and how they work. That does sound really cool. I love watching like random videos that pop. Another YouTube channel I should shout out is Tor's Cabinet of Curiosities. He does video essays on like the weirdest things and they're so interesting. He just does it like really casually, just sits there and talks, and I really like it because he doesn't really like edit out his mistakes. Like if he stops to get a drink of water, he would just drink the water. Or like if he stumbles over his words, he keeps it in. I think it's really relatable. So he was in the Anime Society. My friends were in the Anime Society and I'd sometimes go out with them because there was like an overlap between that and the Role-Playing Society. I haven't seen Ponyo. I think I've seen Ariete, but I don't remember it very well. You guys have recommendations? The ones that I've watched that I remember liking, I liked Made in Abyss, which I know there's some controversy with the creator. And I swear we watched some horror ones with my ex, but I can't remember what they were. I feel like I liked them, whatever they were. So I'll try and reflect on that, see if I can remember what they were. Bonus question, pineapple and pizza, yes or no? I don't think I can answer questions like this because I have something called avoidant restrictive food intake disorder, which paired with the good old autism means that my eating, like stuff I can eat, is so restricted that I like hate almost all foods. So when someone is like, is this food nice? I'm like, you know what, it probably is nice. I hate it. But that doesn't mean that the food's bad. Like, so I'm like, if you enjoy pineapple and pizza, you go for it. I'm not gonna say that it's bad. I wouldn't eat it, but I also wouldn't eat like 95% of food. So it's not really saying much. Bagel asks my favorite Pokemon. Vulpix and Alolan Vulpix, and Ninetales and Alolan Ninetales I love. I really love the round Pokemon. I like Spheal, I like Clodsire, I like Snom. I like all the fox Pokemon in general. Thing is, I like most Pokemon, to be honest. I wouldn't say most, but I like a decent proportion of the Pokemon. It's hard for me to like pick favorites because I feel like a lot of them have like bits I like about them. Oh my god, I love Appletoon. I love Appletoon. Appletoon is the best. I love Appletoon so much. I feel like anyone who takes any of the other evolutions is wrong, because he's so cute. So yeah, that's my thought on App. Kitty said, what would you consider success to look like for you? I think there's layers to success. I think it's not like a binary like success or no success. Like I feel like I've been successful so far. I've got like an amazing community. I would never have imagined a few months ago that I would have like a community that like this. People who say such nice comments, like things like that. That was like massive success to me. And also that I'm just putting myself out there, I think is a success on my end. But I think it would be nice to reach the goals that I have for my summer challenge, which is the bingo card and also the YouTube monetization. And I think distant success, as in like something I don't think I'm going to achieve in the short term. I would just like to be able to make enough money that I could live on my own. Or if that's not possible, make enough money that I could maybe like One of the things that I thought about doing is if I couldn't move out or afford to move out was to get like one of those build a studio in my parents' garden, because they have this like section that's just sheds at the moment. Because that way I'd have like, at the moment I'm doing all my recording in like a downstairs room. There's a glass door. Like it's very like, it doesn't feel like work. And sometimes that's hard to separate because I'm just like, oh, I'm just going to have a nap on the sofa now. It'd be really nice to have a place where I like, quote unquote, go to work and it's separate and it's nice and it's organised. So I think my success would be either being able to afford to live on my own, at which place I could do that in like a room in my house, or be able to do that. Those would be like, that's like my ultimate goal. Warlock said, craziest hot take. I don't like metagross. I feel like that's a hot take. I swear everyone likes metagross. I think it was something more juicy. Okay, here's something that will be controversial, especially if you know like a lot of the things that I talk about. I don't think all AI is bad. I think generative AI that like takes away people's creativity and ability to think for themselves is bad. I don't think there's like a zero use case for things like ChatGPT or Claude or whatever. Like I sometimes use it when I need like have a huge, like my head is really cloudy, and I will sit down and I will write like 5 paragraphs being like, my life is a mess and I keep thinking about this thing and I don't know what to do, and it will then go through that and like bullet point what I've said and like take things out that I might not have noticed I was saying and organizes my thoughts in a way, and then I take that to then make my own schedule, my own decisions. And I think when people say all AI is bad, I feel like that's a very reductionist thing to do, because there are like accessibility. In my case, that is like an accessibility thing. It's like I can't afford to employ someone to like be my personal assistant. So being able to be like, here is everything in my head. I know that I need to do things, but I don't know what to do, what to prioritize. So that's really, really helpful for me. And another thing that's been helpful for me is sometimes it's less common now, but sometimes I used to have like disagreements on the internet, and I would like copy and paste what they said, and then the AI would be like, okay, you're reading into this wrong. And I'd be like, oh my God, am I? Like, I think that's an autism thing. I would need someone else to point out how I was meant to think about things. Not think about things, but like I'd be like, oh my God, they said this and they hate me. And then AI would be like, well, actually, this you're reading into this, and your response to that was actually maybe out of touch. That's not something I would have noticed myself. I would have just kept going in circles. But I have done that in the past. I don't really need to do it anymore, but there was like a time when I was involved in like a community that's very full of drama, and I would like read like a message and then I'd reply, and then they'd say that I'd replied wrong, and I'd be like, oh my God, what do you mean I replied wrong? And then the AI would then explain what they meant, even though it can't truly understand human emotions. From its like the amount of data that it's learnt from, it can sort of extrapolate what would be an appropriate response according to like the typical human, and that's actually really useful. AIs are always agreeable. Yeah, exactly. The big thing about being able to use AI like this, and I don't mean this in like a derogatory way to people who don't fit into this, is you can't be someone who is prone to psychosis or like delusions. That is like a one-way trip to hell. You need to be someone who has always been able to separate like the truth from reality. There's no like shame on you if you can't do that. It's just like a safeguarding thing. I personally am able to look at what ChatGPT or whatever says to me and be like, well, first of all, that's bullshit, or that sounds stupid, I'm going to double check my sources. Or they'll say something, I'd be like, that's the most ridiculous thing you've ever said in my life, I'm just going to pretend you didn't say that. But if you're relying on ChatGPT as like a yes or no answer, here is what's true, here is how you should think, I'm going to validate all your choices, that is when I think you shouldn't be using it. And like I said, there's nothing wrong with being a kind of person who takes everything at face level, who trusts. It's a very nice thing to do. Obviously, they aren't people, so people have to adjust to that. I think I'm quite a cynical person, or like, not with people. Usually I think the best of people. I am quite cynical of like situations and knowledge in general. I've always been a fact checker, and I've also always been like, had like a awareness about things. So when ChatGPT sometimes will say to me like, you should think like this instead, and I'm like, no, that's bullshit, I'm not going to think like that, you're stupid. If you don't have that, if you're so malleable that someone can tell you to think something, I think it's better thinking on your own. I went through a phase last year where, because I have ARFID, I took like a picture of like all the food in my cupboard, and I was like, here are the foods that I can eat. Can you help me make meals from this that are low calorie? And it would constantly hallucinate things I had in my cupboard. It drove me crazy. Every time they did it, I would like yell at them. They'd be like, oh, because you have this thing in your cupboard, you can make this. And I'm like, I don't have that in my cupboard. You've made that up. That really annoyed me. So I don't do that for that anymore. Yeah, I have a friend who I went to medical school who specializes in, now that he's a psychiatrist, his research area is AI psychosis, which is really interesting. So yeah, that's my thoughts on AI. I think the problem I have with AI is taking away creativity and taking away people's ability to have opinions and thoughts themselves. I'm so sick of seeing AI art everywhere. I'm so sick of seeing AI writing everywhere. I used to post on Substack a little bit, and the amount of articles I read where I was like, you just put this in AI. And it just makes you so distrustful of what is true and what's not anymore. Like, what is, not sorry, what's true, because obviously you should be distrustful of that. But what is, like, actually come from someone's own brain and what hasn't. Yeah, I don't know if that was that hot take enough. You don't like cake. I love cake, so I'm okay if you don't like cake, because that means that, like, you know, when there's, like, I could have your slice if they were cutting up a big cake. I think I'm a sweet tooth. I absolutely think you can have too much icing on a cake. Absolutely. It throws off the balance. And I also hate those little chocolate curls. You guys know what I mean? Like those like thin bits of chocolate that like curl and you put them on top of like cakes and stuff. I hate those. Why do I hate those so much? They're just like on everything. And I feel like they just taste like plastic. I know, I don't know. It just doesn't taste like chocolate. It just feels like you're eating something. That you've put something in your mouth that shouldn't be food. Do I like rice? Yeah, I guess. I don't eat a lot of it. But I feel like on its own, there's nothing to dislike. I like rice pudding. You know what's good? Rice pudding. Fish also asked if I like birds. I do like birds. I'm a zoology student, or was a zoology student. We'll see by September. But yeah, birds are great. Okay guys, we got a quiz. Who's taller? It's gotta be Lithium, right? Gatito's like a little kin. Like hips. I got my first and only shiny in like a mainline game was a shiny young goose in Pokemon Violet, which did make me appreciate young goose a little bit. Because I thought he was horrible. I still hate his evolution. I would never evolve him. But yeah, I gave me a little bit of appreciation. Why are you always thinking about Flareon? Rupert has a crush on Flareon. Top 10 mammals. Oh my god. I have to say Sable, duh. Fox. Pangolin. Ooh. It's hard to choose. I have so many. I want to say Weasel, even though it's already so close to a Sable. A manatee. A wolf. I'm a big fan of dogs in general, so oh my god, I got 4 left. I got 4 left. Ooh, what do I pick? I'm gonna forget something important. A maned wolf, which is nothing like a wolf, even though it's called a wolf. A wolverine. I like horses. And then the last one. I'm probably forgetting something really obvious. Oh, a dick. A dick maybe. Oh, they're antelopes. They're so cute. I don't like humans. I say it all the time in real life, and then I realise that people might, like, some people actually get offended. Oh, guys, now that I've finished, I've coming up with so many more mammals that like. Have you guys seen Saiga antelope? This thing, doesn't it? Does not look real. Every time I remember it exists, it makes me so happy. It's just a Saiga antelope. Look at his baby. Look at it. It's got a snoot. It's so silly. Am I looking forward to any particular games coming out? Yes, I'm looking forward to a lot of games coming out. In the short term, there's a game coming out on Monday called Porsum Resort, which I looked into, and then I thought that maybe the art was AI, so I googled it, and the developer said no, it's not AI. The actual game itself looks interesting. Moonlight Peaks comes out next month. That's a vampire farming sim. Rave Seasons isn't coming out till fall now, they've postponed that, but that's like my number one looking forward to game for the rest of the year. I am also looking forward to the Blood of the Dawnwalker. Yes, I have heard of Archipelago runs. I attempted a Stardew one before. I kind of got tired of it quite quickly. Probably because I wasn't like making content out of it. I feel like it's one of those games that like does best, so you're like sharing the experience of discovering it. Whereas I think on your own, you're just like, I guess I've unlocked a random thing. Looks at audience, there is none. I have had cool dice in the past. I don't know where all my dice have gone. I would really like to get some more nice dice. Where my dice are from, usually if I buy cute dice, I tend to buy them from like conventions and stuff. I would recommend looking for like stuff on Etsy and stuff like that. Looks like Demos is going to win. Let me see if I can pull up my demo wheel. Does anybody else have any other questions? As unhinged as you want them to be. Or as hinged, if you want to ask me a nice normal question, that's also fine. It is when you get famous and popular. I don't think I will get famous and popular. Although we're being delusional about our beliefs, so I will become famous and popular. But if I do, when I do, of course I will remember you all. You guys are the best. You make it all worth it. Like, it's one thing knowing that someone's watched your videos, it's another thing knowing that like they've enjoyed them. or enjoyed like what you made enough to like be part of your community and interact with you and keep coming back. That's a really lovely feeling.